montage starts happening, and you kind of just see where all the flashing starts.
That's really as far as the equilibrium theory goes.
It's like an attempt to repair it, but you're more.
It's not really. Well,
it's not really repaired. It's more. It kind of goes downhill, and then it gets to the final girl theme where she saves herself, I suppose. However, we kind of subverted from that.
Of music, so it's not just one tune.
So we synchronize upbeat, happy music on the first chronological part of a movie, and once the montage starts, we start doing low, quite dark.
We got this idea of the kind of pace of the music from our research. So when we were looking at trailers such as Demons Never Die and Disturbia, it tended to have happy, upbeat, like you said, quite modern and young music to go with the casting. And then when it got to the more intense montage part, we had upbeat but
disruption is introduced.
Slow music.
Slightly slower but more intense music to kind of show disruption, kind of showing the disruption from the teenage young normal life to the kind of intensity that it had newly become.
In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
In terms of my film trailer magazine, I think it mostly conformed. I had the main image, and the main image contained a foreground and background, and there was another character image partially placed behind that character. So because of that, because it was kind of off-center, it was shifted to the right side of the magazine, whereas most magazines would generally have it in the center. Really, so my main image, in the sense of where it was laid out, subverted a little from the conventions, but still incorporated, the image itself still incorporated most professional media conventions. Magazine masthead, I felt, was or should be as important as my main image itself. I took a lot of inspiration from the magazine Empire, and often the main image cuts into the chunk of the Empire magazine logo, and that's similar to my film trailer magazine. The image itself does cut a little into the masthead itself. I had a bit of trouble with the colour layout, where I kind of went around asking people what out of the colours I had, which one they preferred. In the end, I opted for an altered image to help reflect on the actual movie magazine itself. Moving on to my movie trailer poster, I again felt that it conformed partially to modern conventions and trends. In the sense that it basically had everything that you'd see in a normal poster. Whereas, in the sense that it was a little abstract in the sense of the editing effects I used on it. For example, it was more of a character image in the sense that character profile. I had one main image of the character placed on the screen. I felt that my film poster subverted from the slasher genre itself, in the sense that there was no evidence of a phallic weapon or any kind of evidence that is in fact of the slasher genre. For example, if you looked at a poster of, say, Scream, you can see, they've got 3 characters or 4 characters standing in front, and then we can tell it's of a horror or kind of ominous foreboding genre, because you can see a kind of mask or mysterious figures in the background. Really, the only thing that kind of gave any evidence to that in my poster was the scratched out background itself, and the kind of so to help properly convey the representation of the slasher genre in my poster, I tried to express that through the font itself. For the unique selling point of both my magazine and poster, I believe it's the fact that there's no phallic weapon. The phallic weapon is a very important part of the slasher genre. The phallic weapon in itself is the kind of male representation of the killer's weapon, the knife, etc. And there was none of that in the actual film poster itself. Yeah, I think I still would successfully represent that it was of the slasher stalker genre. For our audience, I think intended audience was about 16 to 18, and I think I was able to get that through, mainly through my main image and the age of my model in the main image, which conformed to the rest of the conventions of the slasher genre, having a young cast. Also the clothing as well reflected onto the age of the young cast as well. So I think I successfully represented kind of appealed to my intended target audience. I probably had to be very consistent with both the poster and magazine. I opted to have it reflect again on our age group, kind of having it as a kind of graffiti sprayed on the wall kind of feel to it. I was partially inspired by the film magazine and poster of Demons Never Die. It's a British, one of very few British kind of, or maybe the only British urban slasher movie. And again, that had a cast that contained our intended cast. So I took a lot of inspiration from that for typography, and I think my poster would be great for distribution, say in the sense of, I think my poster would work well in like all forms of media, so as a appearance on television, general advertisements you see outside, like on the buses, etc. Having this on Facebook page, which is something a lot of movies are doing. And that way it can become a social form as well.
In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
Right, for my poster magazine front cover, I conformed to the idea of like the masthead is the biggest text or typography on there to sell it. Moving on to the genre, I did a special edition Halloween magazine to show my horror genre. For my typography, I made sure to conform to the genre convention of blood, violence. So for my text, I added a blood effect, and it looks like it's dripping off, so it's in blood. Right? And for my color scheme, I made sure to made it consistent. So I used black, white, and red, just 3 colors to make it more consistent and more professional looking. And what else? To add more of a Halloween effect to it, I added blood effects, handprints in the background. On the side, you can see in the bottom where the barcode is. It says "Get Out" in blood. I'm talking about using examples like Total Film and Empire magazine, where they more focused on the image instead of the text and sidelines. So for my image, I had the main image of a girl, or my model, as the biggest image there, and we had less text instead, so we only made sure to have like 3 sidelines and 1 of the headlines. This is done because it's more mainstream and this is done because the genre of my film is stalker slasher horror. This is one of the most mainstream and most conventional genre of. For my magazine, I also subverted to the normal, subverted from the mainstream magazines. I did a Halloween edition where most of the time it's just normal text and how it normally conforms to that movie, or to the headline movie. This time I did just speciality on horror movies, like I did sidelines like The Devil Inside, Paranormal Activity 4, The Woman in Black, where I just had interviews and reviews and stuff. Also conform to the genre of the horror movie, where it had low lighting, dark lighting. My color scheme was more dark and had blood, like connotation of blood because of color red. Moving on to the layout of the magazine. Moving on to the layout of the magazine, I made sure the masthead was on top because this was conventional, and in most magazines. I also made sure that the cell lines didn't block the main image, because that is what I was trying to sell. And I was mostly trying to go with a mainstream magazine instead of comparison to Sight and Sound, where it just had more information than just imagery. I followed the main poster for Behind the Mask, where they had two images, where the other half had a mask and the other half was just the normal main character. This is because I had the plot for our trailer had this split personality in it, so this is what I was trying to get to. And also I also conformed to the dark